Hello Year 7 and welcome back to your final lesson of week 2. Today you are going to be having a go at writing your own opening to a story in a particular genre. Now before we start, a lot of these slides have quite a lot of writing on them, but don't worry about that. It is not all tasks for you to do, it's just information that you need to know. Okay, so make sure you pause the video or you stop going through the presentation and read it in detail. So your first task today is to match the type of hook with the example. So on the left-hand side, you have got each different type of hook that you have looked at in lesson 2 of this week. And on the right, you have got examples of each. Now, these are taken from the ones you've looked at earlier in the week. So see if you can do it without looking back. But if you need to look back, you've got them there for you. Okay, so just to give you a little bit of a recap on the extract that we did yesterday, and for those people who didn't quite get it or didn't feel they fully explored it properly, this is a little bit of a recap so that you're ready to do today's lesson. So make sure you've got the table that you completed yesterday in front of you while you're doing this work, okay? It should help you with the writing for today. So we looked at the setting, we looked at the characters, and we looked at the tone of the extract and how the author made it mysterious. Firstly, the setting was mysterious because it was an isolated place. It was a tropical beach, if you remember. The author used words such as mirage and shadow to suggest that things were not quite as they seemed and that there was a darkness to what seemed like a nice place. You know, it was a nice tropical beach, but actually there were some darker things happening as well. Secondly, the characters were mysterious because if you remember, they were dressed quite strangely for the setting they were in. So we were with Ralph seeing Jack's band of boys walking across this isolated beach, and yet they were dressed from head to toe in black cloaks. So they were actually choir outfits. If you can Google what a choir robe looks like. They were long black robes from head to toe, which is not actually the most appropriate thing for the setting they were in. So it makes us question, why were they wearing long black cloaks on a hot tropical island? And where did they get those cloaks from? Okay, so the characters were mysterious. They started making us question the extract. Finally, the tone of that extract, so the atmosphere that it was creating, was quite volatile, meaning that you weren't quite sure what was going to happen next, and you got the impression that the character's mood could change quite quickly. So we have Jack, who we meet, and at the end of this extract, we're told that he looks quite angry, and we don't know why. So it's quite an unsettled feeling that we get from this extract. So by all means, pause this, read the extract again, make sure that you fully understand how it was created to feel mysterious before moving on. Your job today then is to write an opening to a mystery narrative. I'm asking you to write 2 or 3 paragraphs, and these paragraphs need to be of substantial length. So let's aim for at least 4 sentences in each paragraph. And you're going to use the opening line I have given you as a starting point. So your opening line is, the shape of the leaves flickered across the stone in the midday sun. 2 figures appeared out of the shadow, both sporting the strangest combination of clothes. Now you will notice there were elements of this opening line that take inspiration from the extract that we read yesterday. So see whether you can create a similar sort of feeling in your own writing. You should include interesting vocabulary choices to suggest that not everything is as it appears. Characters that seem a little bit out of place. I've already given you 2 characters, but it is up to you who they are, what they're doing there, what they're wearing, what they want out of this situation. That is entirely up to you. And finally, try and create a sense of insecurity. So as a reader, we should feel like we don't really know what's going to happen next, and we're quite unsure about who these characters are and why they're there. So Take your time on this. This will take you a little bit longer perhaps than some of the lessons that we've done before, but please don't spend any more than an hour on this lesson as a whole. Okay, if you reach your hour, stop, move on. Okay, I'm not asking you to spend all day on something like this. Okay, but take your time with it. Use a dictionary, use a thesaurus to help you make sure that your writing is as good as it can be. Once you've finished your 2 or 3 paragraphs, let's have a think back then. Read through this success criteria one more time, and then highlight and label. If you're working on paper, it's probably going to be easier to label than if you're working on a Word document, but that's okay. Highlight and label where you have achieved each one. So if you've chosen a particularly interesting piece of vocabulary, underline it for me, let me know where it is. And then write yourself a what went well and an even better if based on this piece of writing, so a success and a target. I've given you 2 sentence starters at the bottom that you can continue to use. Well done for your work this week. We've been receiving lots of work, which is fantastic. So make sure that you save your work, keep it in a safe place, send it to your class teacher, and I will see you next week.